Good evening. Great to be here.
Did you think that Trump would be in greater danger over the campaign finance and the involvement of your client than he would be over a possible Russia investigation?
Well, to be frank, I did, and I've thought that for the better part of 10 months, just simply because our case is that much cleaner and that much more simple than the Russia collusion case, which is a very difficult case to prove. That does not mean it can't ultimately be proven, but it's very difficult for a number of reasons, including the location of witnesses and the like, whereby my client's case is very simple.
Except that you can't, or haven't been able so far, to prove that those payments had anything to do with campaign finances.
Well, actually, I think we have. I think we've taken a considerable step towards that because we have Michael Cohen, who has now pled guilty to a felony in connection with the $130,000 payment made to my client, and he has attested to the fact that it had everything to do with the campaign. And if you look at the timing of the payment, it was in the closing days of the 2016 election, even though they knew of my client as far back as 2011. So it's incredulous to think that they just happened to get around to making the payment and it was just a coincidence that it was on the eve of the election.
But at the moment, you're in a situation where it's actually not possible to indict a sitting president, except in extremely exceptional circumstances. And would you really describe this as extremely exceptional circumstances?
Well, I wrote an op-ed about 3 months ago in the New York Times, and I argued for the indictment of the president. You see, here in the United States, there is no constitutional prohibition against indicting a sitting president. No court has ever ruled that a sitting president cannot be indicted. There's a Department of Justice policy against indicting a president, but that could be disregarded. And I believe the better argument is that if the evidence is there, and I think it is, Donald Trump should be indicted. And if he has a constitutional challenge to the indictment, that ought to be passed on or ruled upon by the courts here in the United States. But I believe that a sitting president can be indicted, and I think this president should absolutely be indicted.
Now, of course, we know Michael Cohen's sentence is 3 years, but we also know there's further cooperation, over presumably questions over the Russian campaign. The Russian campaign. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that he's provided a significant amount of cooperation to the special counsel's office. I think it's been in excess of 70 hours. I'll note that in court yesterday, the special counsel's office did say that Michael Cohen had lied to their office as recently as July, and this is one of the reasons why we believed a substantial prison sentence was warranted, because Michael Cohen did not do the right thing a year ago. In fact, he continued to lie in March, April, May, June, and July of this year. He only found religion, if you will, when he understood that his back was against the wall and he had very little choice.